Mandy and Tessa and the entire STYLUS group for inviting me here to including PANKs in the conversation. Yes, listen up, because there are prizes for those who know the answer. I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to not do the song and dance routine that I normally do in the middle of my presentation and just go straight into the power of the PANK. I teamed up with Weber Shandwick in 2012 to really delve into the quantitative data of this growing trend of women who don't have children. But actually, it started back in 2007 when I was and remain a single childless woman, always wanting children of my own, and in the meantime, really using my maternal muscle on the children I love, my nieces and nephews. I had worked at L'Oreal USA and was literally flying back and forth to Paris, France, and would spend my money on these gorgeous, beautiful articles of clothing and beautiful little dolls, and I would bring them back for these gorgeous children, and they would say, "No Dora? No Bob the Builder?" Fine, this was, 12 years ago. I had no idea who these people were. Dora and Bob were tiny. And I lived in this big world of being a modern cosmopolitan woman, and I thought it was time to become a Savvy Auntie. And so in 2008, I launched SavvyAuntie.com. And by the way, do you notice my face is actually much smaller in person than we had on the screen? And a book, a national best-selling book. And while I was launching the site, I knew as a marketer by trade that we had to look at this demographic and who she was to better understand her, and so that marketers, like I was, can find her. And so the U.S. Census data, which was what I looked at the time, said that about 45% of American women were childless. It was 44.6. And that's childbearing age 15 to 44. By the time 2010 rolled around, it was 47%. And that trend is just going to progress. So the power of the PANK, the professional aunt, no kids. You know what? I don't think I have my little... What you're going to see are some of the points, the quantitative data that we looked at with Weber Shandwick. Again, we launched this in December 2012, and it was covered in the New York Times and since New York Magazine and many others. So here's the story that I just told you, and what we're going to look at are there are 14 principles of the PANK. We're just going to go through a few of them because we only have a few minutes. But you'll see some of them here. And by the way, if you go to melanienotkin.com, and there's a little navigation link to PANK Power, it's all there. So first we're going to talk about the size. Now, we already discussed it in a previous presentation, but we're looking at 1 in 5 American women. That's 23 million American women. How many women in this room are moms? How many women in this room are not moms? Many more. And so what we're doing is we're kind of not only, as we said, I forget the number, was 19% of moms said that advertisers don't speak to them, or they're just constantly tired of 24/7 being looked at as a mom. Well, what about the other 50% of us, those of us, again, 15 to 44 who are not moms, or specifically the PANKs, are constantly spoken to as if we're all moms. There's this, what I call a momopia in America, this uber focus on all women as moms. So we talked about this number too. Women who are PANKs spend every year $387 on average per child in their life. So not just once, not just on one child, but on all the children in their life. And by the way, the PANK, the professional aunt, no kids, does not have to be an aunt by relation. She could be an ABC, an auntie by choice. And I love the little segment right at the end there about the gourmet food for kids. She could be the gourmand. And by the way, it's not just mompreneurs, they're entrepreneurs as well. And so she spends $387, but a whopping 76% spend more than $500 a year per child in her life. So again, whether it's her siblings' children, her friends' children, that much younger cousin, she is spending a lot of money. And baseline, one child per PANK per year, that's $9 billion. Now, I've done my best to invite marketers to work with me to reach these women, but I'm pretty sure we haven't yet reached all $9 billion. And by the way, that's just guesswork. That's without marketers actually reaching out to her and saying this would probably be the best gift for your niece or nephew. And we do have on SavvyAuntie.com a whole gift section where you can also look at age and personality and budget, etc. We know, by the way, that PANKs have given gifts to the parents. About 45% of them have given parents some financial support so that they can buy things for the kids. And 43% claim that they buy things the parents would never buy them. Now, I don't advocate you buy things they shouldn't buy them, but they end up buying them, perhaps that new car when they graduate college. Yes, that happens. And one third, 34%, are contributing to a child's education. So whether that's a college savings plan, whether that's tutors, coaches for a special needs child, etc. They're really there on the ground. We are not the frivolous women that some might think us to be. We actually really, really love these children. And yes, it's true that if, what do you say, your nappy gets a little dirty, they may decide they don't want to change it. But the truth is, most of them do. They don't mind rolling up their sleeves and really being an integral part of the family. We actually wield a lot of influence on our nieces and nephews, but also on their parents. So we see that 7 in 10, 68% of PANKs say that they're a role model in that child's life. Often enough because they simply offer a different worldview than a parent might. Not better or worse, just different. 52% say that they spoil the child in their life. How many of those women here who are PANKs spoil the children in their life? Yeah, I know. And we know that 36% say that the children in life or their parents come to them for fashion advice or beauty advice. My nieces do that with me. And I'm happy to say sometimes it works. Okay, so we talked a lot about connectivity. And again, I don't have a lot of time, and you can look at a lot of this on my website. But we actually, more than the average mom, are spending more time online and actually have larger social networks. So yes, that when we think about, oh, how are we going to reach the mom? Well, moms are online. Let's put all of our budget into reaching those moms on those social networks. Well, we're probably not on the same networks or looking at the same Pinterest pages or interested in maybe necessarily the same brands on Facebook. So when you talk to women, not just moms online, think about where it is that they are. And for instance, here we are just in Pinterest alone, 22% as opposed to 17% for the average woman. We're avid info sharers, clearly, because I'm here sharing this information with you. But we actually love to share information. People, again, think that moms are the ones online doing all of that. But we are 10 points more likely than mom, at 91% likely to share information on clothing, shoes, accessories, vacations and travel arrangements, websites and social networking sites, and products and services for digital devices, apps, etc. What's also interesting is that there are a lot of areas that we share information about that are typically male. So when it comes to automotive, when it comes to electronics, etc. And I say typically male because we tend to assume that those are things that men are interested, but of course, PANKs, more so than the average woman, seem to be very interested in it and want to share all the good news.